You're listening to Off the Stage with your hosts, James Berry and Conor Michael, where we take musicians off the stage and into the pub to talk about the ins and outs of the music world.
Welcome back to the pub. We are off the stage with me, James, and Conor. We've changed the layout a little bit. Now we've got a round table, we're all facing you, and then you can see this wonderful room. We've got two nice guests that we're going to introduce in a bit, so let's get clacking. I'm trying to be scouse,
Clacking. Let's crack on, kid.
Crack on.
Well, we'll start with if we have any visual viewers, because you don't get many visual listeners. We have two guests. Most of the time, we get a lot of questions from James's missus and my missus, and my missus is actually here. So this is Ashley.
Hi.
Woo! She's gonna participate. Normally, when she's here, she sits behind the camera and makes sure the camera doesn't turn off.
Yes, which is an important role, especially when I'm involved.
But the other person we've got on the table, which we've been quite excited about for a while, but we wanted to kind of build listenerships up before we got the golden goose himself. This is Stevie from the rock band Twister.
Yeah.
Nearly called a Stevie Twister there.
Nearly. I get that a bit.
So what are you drinking?
Oh, it's a lager shandy, mate. It's piss poor, let's be honest. It's not a good effort, is it? Usually on like, we'll try something like. I just don't like any of that shit. So it's a Coors shandy. It's not great, but it's doing the job.
It means you can have like 5 and you'll still be able to pedal your bike home.
Absolutely, mate. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah. What yourself, Ashley? What you on?
It's called Polly Duncan or something. It's like an oatmeal stout. It's really nice, actually.
Yeah. So I've gone for the blueberry maple stout. And it tastes nice, and the aftertaste is pancakes, and it's a really weird taste to get used to. You just can try it if he's like, maybe fancy a blueberry stout. On Bez's recorder.
Hang on, that's electronics
That
gone
was
wrong there.
just. I think you were just safe there, by the way.
For anyone who's listening and not watching, I've just broke the podcast.
hang on.
It's always you.
Are we good?
I think we're okay.
Do you want to run down and get a towel or something?
Worst case scenario, whoever's mic number 4 just suddenly turns off and we can't hear him.
Stevie.
I'm loud
it's only
enough
how I guess.
anyway.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah, I'm
Go
going
on,
to try
no,
before I spill it again.
You know what? Because you bought me this.
Do you want to see which one you've got?
Yeah,
I'm going to see
yes.
what I've, because this is a blind react. I don't know what this is. I haven't asked for
Big
it.
over the top.
I know. That's going to be the that's going to be the pin.
That's what we need.
It's going to be the.
You're building this up a bit like.
Yeah, go on, drum roll.
It's going to be the foot. What do you call them on YouTube? You know, like it's like advertised where you got like all these American YouTubers
like,
get. Oh my god! Blind react. I know. So what is this? Tastes like shite. No, it doesn't actually. It's quite nice. It's obviously a stout. It's not. It's not as It's quite smooth.
What do you reckon it is?
I don't know.
Should be the new feature. Just guess the
Yeah.
drink.
Do this with
It
James
does.
every episode.
I don't know if it has. I
do
mean,
actually.
I think the someone's mentioned something about oatiness, and I can kind of almost taste that, but I don't know if that's just because someone's mentioned the word oat. It's kind of got it in my head. It smells of stout.
Okay.
I don't know. Tell me.
It's the
what.
Rocky Road.
Rocky Road.
It's
oh,
a
that
mini
was
mile.
yeah. Rocky Road. So that makes. I got the oat bit. Right,
Yeah.
I think.
I suppose so.
Yeah. Oh well.
Anyway, on to the pod. So before we set the podcast up, we always put like Instagram questions, and we say, look, we got Stevie coming in. Stevie from Twister. And one of the questions we got in
Hero name.
is if you could write a jingle in a company or a product advert, which or what would it be?
So it would probably be one of Charlie Sheen's jingles, I think, from 2.5 Men. Yeah, because he had some absolute
That's a
blinders.
shout. That I haven't seen that program in
Absolute
years.
blinders.
You
I
know.
used to love it.
You know Chuck Lorre, who did that,
Yeah.
also wrote the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Did he
theme tune.
really?
He did, aye.
Oh my god.
So that's
Yeah, it would be the Maple Loop soundtrack.
Yeah.
That's what it would be.
I don't know what I did. I had a dream once. It was dead weird. I was in the recording studio with Tom DeLonge, you know, from Blink 182, and we were recording jingles I don't know why this dream came from. It's something weird, but the one song that really stuck to mind that I thought he sung like really well was the Hayes Travel theme tune.
No one offers you more.
Nobody offers you more. Hayes Travel, like.
Somewhere in some alternate universe, you and Tom DeLonge are like smashing out jingles.
Exactly. That's what I'm kind of hoping. That's
Some
what
other
You're just
alternate
covering
universe.
kind of
jingles.
feel it. I hope it wasn't a dream and I transcended to an alternative reality where me and Tom DeLonge were singing Hayes Travel.
All the jingles in our reality just come from that like dimension. It's you and Tom
The
DeLonge.
proper like upbeat pop punk style, kind of like
Travis doing his solos in the
ho
background.
ho
and
ho,
that.
green giant, you know, like that kind of shit. I was like,
See, I've got the question, but I didn't think of anything. But be like, you can do something simple like LV in it. Dum dee dee dum.
Yeah.
Dee 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 doo.
that could work well with a loop pedal.
Yeah, simple in it.
I mean, it'll take like 2 minutes.
It's going to bring
it'll be
Filthies to a
2-minute
whole new
adverts,
level,
like, once
isn't it?
you-
It's just going to be like a set of
Absolutely.
jingles and Filthies now.
Tonight's theme is theme.
What's your favourite theme? We had a guy called Keddy Souls on. I don't know if you've met him before.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he was on a few weeks ago, and he's asked, "What's your setup for your guitar effects?"
So
I know you've got like a Helix board, don't you?
yeah, I do. Yeah, but that's kind of the brains that runs everything else, to be honest. So not to bore everyone to tears a little bit, but I run 2 Marshall heads. One of which is the full head, so it's the front end with the obviously the preamp, and then the back end of the power amp. And I run 2 signal paths through the Helix, so the front end goes through number 1, back end goes to number 2, and then the Helix itself duplicates the initial guitar signal and then goes through a different preamp within the Helix, some other modulation, and then out of that into the power amp of the other Marshall head, so that you can basically turn the Helix up on one head and you've got the other one, and then I split my cabinet in half, so I've got half with the Marshall
visuals.
and half with the Helix. But you can do some really mad like panning effects, and if you're using, you can use it as wet dry, so you've got one side where all of your reverb and delays, and then the other side is just the bare bones tone. And you get, again, the main use of that for me is when you're writing, there's no bounds to what you can create.
That's important, like that.
Yeah, and often like some of the stipulations that, like, especially on the early doors of like being in a band, it was like, oh, I can't really do that, we're in different tuning, or we can't really do that, where we haven't got the pedals for that or anything like that, and having,
You've got unlimited access now.
having the modelers involved just sort of eliminates all of them problems.
Because I imagine, sorry to interrupt, I imagine like you're thinking, oh, I quite fancy trying this out. Then you go on like Amazon or whatnot, and it's like, to do that you need this pedal that's like 250 quid, and you don't even know if you're gonna like the sound or not.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, I love. I've got a Pod Go. I think that's what Keddy Souls has actually. And now it's like it's a fraction of what the Helix can do, but I'm still blown
excellent,
away
though.
by it. Aye.
Yeah, and I think the beauty about them is, so I've got a couple of different rigs, one of which is me fly rig, so anything we're doing abroad that we're not driving to, I've got a Helix floor that I bang in a bag, and then that just goes on me back, and I take a little power amp with me, and I can plug that into any cab anywhere, and that's fine, I can get away with that. But the way that I think modelers are actually really underused is not replacing the valve amp, it's making the valve amp better, and like, and that's the way that me and Jake use them.
Yeah,
we use them in totally different ways.
I was gonna say, it sounds like you've got like quite a hybrid setup going on. It's like,
Yeah,
it's pretty
well,
cool.
it also, I don't know whether you know this, but I break everything. Extremely ham-fisted in everything I do.
Guitars to heart, eh?
Yeah, so what it also does, something like that. What it also does is it's your spare. So in itself, you've got a backup plan.
That's actually a really good, because you can model the Marshall amp through that.
So
even though not sound as good, but you've still got something on you.
In me patches that I've got at the moment, I've got I'm not like Jake. Jake's got a patch per song. He's got a patch per song, and then every patch has got presets for verse, chorus, second verse, and like so on.
Really specifics.
Yeah, really specific, because that runs our live show as well. So it runs the lights,
Yeah.
the video screens, it runs everything. Whereas mine, I've got three patches, 2 of which are like just standard tuning patches, and then I've got one which is a drop tune patch. So I don't need to change guitars for drop tuning. Me Helix does it.
That's clever.
That's really good.
Yeah, it doesn't track absolutely perfectly, I'll be honest, but
Does the job,
yeah,
does it?
it's fairly good with, because my main job as frontman is to just concentrate on what's happening in front of me rather than what's going on around me. So it's a nice way of getting out of, I better just go to the side of the stage and change that, or so me
Keep
only
the show running, don't you?
it's all
Yeah.
about just the momentum and keeping things ticking over.
The last time we seen you, like everything seemed to go so smoothly, didn't it, down at Riverside?
Up until the night time.
Yeah, until you got your head
Come
kicked
on.
in.
Is this a after dark story? Is it?
Oh
Do
my
you not hear about
God.
that? The first
It's
time I
a-
went to see Twister, and Ashley was defending some homeless fella outside McDonald's, and these 8 lads jumped with.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah,
Still
he
got the
got
scar in the
jumped
eye.
on.
Honestly,
So I'm like ragging them off. One of them choked me out and broke my finger.
Jesus.
And then these girls joined in. So I was like ragging them off him because they were all getting him on the... Oh, it was horrific.
Proper stomping him. I had like a boot bruise on my
Yeah,
face.
that's what the
Messaged
scar
Stevie
in
the
Berry's
next day. I was
eyes
like,
are.
my first ever rock gig. Sent him a selfie. Go, it looks like I enjoyed it.
Great night.
It was the mosh pit,
With the
really.
mosh pit,
We
aye.
just made up the homeless guy story. It was just the mosh pits.
Flippin' heck.
Went and played football the next day. It was great.
Wouldn't go to the hospital or anything. He had like a tennis ball sized egg on the back of his head and he refused to go to hospital.
But the police looked and went, just move on. I was like, all right, I'm clearly fine then.
I was trying to talk to them. They were like,
Hissing
"Move."
blood out my eye,
just
Horrible.
where it's meant to be.
That's nasty. That.
Just because I was defending a little
Standard
homeless
town
man,
on a
I felt
weekend.
So bad.
I love the big market, mate. But yeah, that was a really good gig.
But yes,
though.
it did seem to go very smoothly, Stevie.
Well, I had a great time.
It was brilliant.
It was brilliant. Like, I'd never seen Twister live properly. I've seen you do like the acoustic set of Filthies, and I've seen you do a few things, but
Yeah.
it's the first Twister gig I've seen.
It was the second time I had seen you. The first time was O2.
I was just
Yeah.
coming on with the drums.
And that was fantastic. But I felt Riverside was like, for all, yeah, you win the second room at the O2, but like Riverside feels smaller still. But
Yeah.
it felt like a much bigger show at Riverside, and it was brilliant the way like you put it together.
Well, sort of what we're trying to achieve is, again, a lot of people go down the modeler route to eliminate cabinets,
Yeah.
amp heads,
yeah.
gig air, and everything else, and don't want to take anything with them. It's like, right, I'm putting everything in a bag and go to the gig and do it. I was just like, what can we do the other way? How much effort can we put into this that's like worth it to create a show for
Yeah.
people that like they're going to go home going, oh, remember that bit, I can remember that bit, and there's certain moments in the set that even gets us. Like there's
Yeah.
times
Yeah.
I turn around to Jake and go, like, pull the face, and we do it vice versa to each other. And we come off and like, how cool was that bit? And like, and that's
Even the
it's
video effects and stuff were just like fantastic that you used.
yeah. It's took us a long time to build them, and I remember when we first started, it was a conversation in a pub.
Yeah, well, that's where they all
Um,
start.
And
all started on a train to Leeds, really.
Yeah, that's the truth.
so this is like 3 o'clock in the morning. We played Lancaster Music Festival, which we're actually doing an hour tour in October again. And we'd come off stage, and the lovely people at the pub had actually given us our own bar, because that's safer, keep us
Yeah.
away from everybody
Yeah,
else.
of course.
So we sat upstairs drinking. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were like, "What's the next stage for the live show?" And obviously we've got a custom backline anyway, so all of our amps are white, and we've got big timpani drums and like a few other little bits and lighting show. And I was like, I really want to go back into AV and use video, because we've got a video show that we designed when we played bigger places and they had installed a video wall. Then we can still use that, but we had to have a guy come with us and man it, which is a nightmare, trying to get someone who's clued up with AV. And I was like, I really want to get to the point where we could run our own AV rig, but without going to Click, and that was the main thing. So we tried it once, or we'll go to Click Track and design all the videos to Click. Doesn't work for us.
Nah, I hate that. I
Yeah,
hate Click.
it's just not what we're about. So there's like certain segments of the set, especially on the new tour, there's 2 parts which are to Click, but it's it's weird. It's within the song, so the rest of the song isn't a click, but there's segments which are. But that's so that we can get the screens to do cleverer things.
Yeah.
So we've been working on it, and we sat down and spoke about it, and it's like, how do you think it's possible? It's like, I think I could probably build video wall into the back line. And then this is the 16th of October. On the 11th of November, we gigged it. Like, it was
Had
so...
like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know where we could buy panels. Like, I had to source the gear, then I had to learn how to use it, then I had to design it. And, like, nobody tells you how to do it.
Yeah.
There's no tutorials. I mean, day one, I broke it. And then, then it's fix it again. And, yeah, it took us a long time to get it to where we want it to be. But
Looks really good, though.
yeah, especially on the new tour as well. So on the last one, because it was not flung together, because it wasn't, but like there's certain aspects of the visuals I go, I'd like to do something better with that, or something more custom with that. And on this tour, everything is pucker. So I'm dead happy with it.
So you put on like a show, you don't just play the music.
Yeah,
It's
and
just like
that's it. It's giving people something to watch. Or numerous things to watch. So if we're giving it beans and the screens are doing something a little bit daft, we include bits of music videos in them. So like artworks. We've got a new show intro, which involves the new single, and the artwork for the EP is like moving within the screen. It's like it's all based basically on a nuclear apocalyptic city.
Yeah.
And the city itself is moving within the intro sequence with lightning and all sorts of other random things.
That sounds class, to be fair.
So, obviously, and I've seen Twisted the Foot in town, seen it was Riverside. Do you guys like plan a different? Obviously, it's difficult to have a different gig at every gig, but obviously you're going on like a new tour. Do you plan something completely different, or is it slightly similar with new add-ons? Or
no? So what we've tried to do, especially for this tour, is we want to give people something different every time they come to see us. So there's something else to watch, there's something else to come out with, and keep them on their toes. So when we did,
that's what I said recently, trying to write new stuff, but
yeah, but it's so we when we're writing to specific parameters. So it's not necessarily let's just sit down and see what comes out. It's I want to write a song that's going to start the tour. It's going to start the set.
Yeah.
Because we've used Save Us Yourself, which is the opener track of the last album, for a while with the timpani drum intro, and it's class, and I love it because, especially if you're doing festivals, you've got like you might have 100 bands on that day.
Yeah.
Right, but when you hear them being brayed the hell out of,
it's something different.
Everyone goes, "What is that?"
Yeah. I did, to be fair.
I loved it.
It was an amazing intro.
Yeah, so that's why we did it. Was like, we need to make something where everything just moves and people go, "What the hell is that?" and everyone turns around. So that was the initial idea behind that. And then when we brought the cabinets into play, it's like, well, actually that gives us, we can be more artsy with it. We can sort of set the scene without us actually being there. And what we're doing with this one is we've dropped the timps, and we're just trying to do something slightly different with it. But again, the timps will probably come back on the next tour and do something else with them. Because this is just an EP, so this is 6 tracks on one, 8 tracks on the other. We've got a deluxe version. And this is just a stepping stone, basically, because we've left one label. We're looking at our other possibilities and what we're going to be doing next for the album. And this was let's do an EP in the middle and change tact a little bit and set the scene.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the intro for the next year while we're doing the album. And then when the album comes out, there'll be a new intro for the album.
So for like the next phase of Twister.
For the next phase.
Yeah.
And the next tour and the next
Like Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're into phase 6.
It brings back Robert Downey Jr. to the show.
But also what that does as well is it means, because all we ever do is, for instance, the show file, if you like. So we have a file where there's the show. Okay, we're putting new stuff in it. None of that moves, none of that leaves. So we start just adding stuff on.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we sort of pride ourselves on is we can go places like we did Ibiza in May, and we were over the moon because Skindred were playing, Reef were playing.
Love Skindred.
Yeah, same. Jolyn Turner was playing, and who else was there? There was somebody else massive. Anyway, the day we got there, all the headliners pulled out, all of them.
No way.
Right? So
Did they give a reason? They just
we're not 100% sure,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Oh
We think
my
it's something to do
God.
with the booking agent.
yeah.
But that's not my bag anyway, so
Yeah.
I don't really ask any questions. But we then get conversations of, could you do another set? Could you do 3 gigs for us? Like, yeah, I mean, we're contracted to do 1, but I'm very much from the ilk of the show must go on, and
Yeah.
you have to make stuff
Yeah.
happen. So what we said is, okay, we can do that. I think we can do 3 totally different shows for you. Right, okay, how are we going to do that? Right, so the opening night of the festival, which we weren't initially playing, is usually like a bit of a free-for-all, anything goes kind of thing. It's usually not the bands playing their tour sets, it's usually them jamming or doing whatever. I said, well, why don't we do a full cover show of just like classic rock stuff or stuff that we know and maybe some stuff we don't know and just have a little bit of fun with it. So we did that night 1. Then our second show was the full tour show, so that was the timpani drums, intro, and all that kind of stuff. And then the third one was me and Jake did an acoustic show, and we played tracks that we hadn't played all week. And people going, you've done 3 shows, done 3 90-minute shows, haven't played the same song twice.
That's
class.
impressive. That,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially if it's like your own stuff and all. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like that is like hell of a. I mean,
And that's
years
exactly
of
what.
catalogues.
Yeah, that's what we want to try and achieve. We want to try and. It's not just about like obviously the main things. You've got to write good songs because otherwise pointless playing them. But you've got to show your resilience and you've got to show that like you are worth working with.
Yeah.
You're not just messing about. You look after people and people know that they can rely on you. That's like it's worth so much.
Yeah, imagine.
I think that's mint.
That's cool. Like,
Mint. I got one more question for part 1. I don't know what time we're on this.
it's like 20 minutes.
I got one more question.
Yeah, well, it's a quick question.
Cool. So this one, a bit more fun-ish. If you could perform a tribute concert for any celebrity that had passed and it's like their tribute gig, whose celebrity would you like to perform for?
Oh,
It's a good question.
That's a really good question,
Yeah.
actually.
It's a question because I wouldn't.
I would have loved to have performed at Freddie's.
Yeah.
Because like Freddie Mercury is one of me total idols, and I think if you're now looking back on certain shows, that gig in particular was so iconic.
Yeah.
So I think Freddie.
I think
Freddie be good. I wouldn't. My music wouldn't suit that kind of tribute. I'd be stuck with like the Ed Sheeran stuff, but it'd be quite iconic for me to be. That's where I came from.
I don't know
Like
because
an
if you look
Oliver
if you look at the likes of who performed on that show,
Yeah.
like they're not all from the same bag.
Yeah.
Like George Michael was there, and like
plus it's a off the stage podcast question, so you can have whoever you want. It's a good point.
It's very
anything
true.
you want goes.
Like who's gonna want my Luke Pedal of Runaway for like?
Freddie Mercury might have. Who
Oh,
knows?
yeah,
You
never
know,
know.
it's
I'd be a big fan.
Yeah.
I probably say Bob Dylan. Me, well,
He's
for
not
obvious
dead though,
reasons.
is he?
He's not yet, but he's
Some
getting there.
borrowed
Bless him.
time.
Yeah.
It's still time yet for me to become like super famous,
Yeah.
so that I do get to play as remembrance.
It'd have to be dead, like.
Don't have to be. Right.
I thought that was the stipulation.
Oh no, just like if they had passed away.
All right. Right,
Oh,
that
so
case.
I'll go on then.
So there could be alive. So
all
there could be
changed.
alive. It's if the
Yeah, if they passed
Yeah.
away.
If they passed away.
I actually
right,
thought this was one of
got
your questions. It clearly wasn't. I think it
not.
might have been your missus's question.
I know my Mrs. question was the jingle one.
Ah, right,
The
okay.
advert one.
See,
Which
I
is why I
think I'd
had
lean towards like Taylor
You were prepped.
Momsen
Please
from like the
forgot.
Pretty Reckless.
Yeah.
I think
can't
I'd
remember
go
whose this one
towards
was.
like Taylor Momsen because I love her.
Oh,
Yeah,
saw her on our honeymoon in Florida.
Fantastic
She's
vibe.
brilliant.
She's so good.
Oh, it was. It was. You must just put that one in.
Oh, did she really? Honestly.
I think I'd go like. It would be an Ed Sheeran and Ollie Murs, like a one that kind
Yeah.
of started the music career up somewhere, or a Scott Kears, you know.
Very
He's going.
And he's on borrowed time. And he,
He's going back to America. That's like a ticking
He's
time
a
bomb, that
parent,
isn't
he's
it?
a parent now.
He hasn't
He's having
got
a
long
life
left,
sucked
bless
from
him.
him.
Age like cheese.
Sorry, Scott.
Yeah, bless him. If you don't know who Scott is, go back to the first pilot episode and last week's episode.
Yeah, very true.
Last week's was much better than the pilot.
It was, yeah. We were actually prepared and everything like that.
Yeah. Mint, we'll call that part 1. We'll have a little chill and go on to part 2.
Awesome. Let's
See you on the other side.
see ya. Oh, no,
Wrong
wrong one. Hang on.
Part 2.
Side 2.
Side 2. Started that next week, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because that's how this works. Time travel and all
Oh,
that.
yeah. We start, yeah, okay.
Basically, we recorded an episode last night, which is going to go out next week. And the episode today is going to go out this week, obviously, because it's out. It's weird. I hate time travel.
I know.
Wibbly wobbly stuff. You know?
Even though I love Back to the Future,
Doctor Who.
it's just, yeah, I don't like being a part of it. I like to
And
watch it.
Endgame Avengers.
Oh, yeah. Too confusing.
So, yeah, side 2. We normally do a bit like just general pub chat shit. And in the last few weeks, we've done like scenarios. So we gave Scott last week, if Resident Evil kicked in, what would you do? Next week, we've got a really cool animal question.
I dread to think.
And this week, we've got 2, but James has been dying to give you this one. So,
Right.
what's your scenario?
Right, so here's the scenario, right?
Right.
You're walking down a long and lonesome road. Then all of a sudden, there shines a shiny demon in the middle of the road.
Right.
And he says, play the greatest song in the world, or I'll eat your soul. But you're not like Jack Black. You're not as reckless as that. You don't play the first thing that comes into your head. You get a bit of time to think about
Right,
it.
yeah.
Although you don't really have much time because, you know, roll you on.
Because he's their star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What song do you play to the devil who wants the best song in the world?
Oh, that's a question. So the songs that I love, and the songs that I think that's just utter genius. And the song that I think is absolute utter genius, and I do love it. And when it finished at the very end of it, I always end up like tingly, which is Jesus Suburbia by Green Day. I think that's like one of the most well written things ever.
It's a good idea for a song as well, actually. Like I quite like the idea of Jesus of Suburbia.
Yeah. Just there with his slippers.
Well, I mean, I've obviously thought about this.
I'm racking through songs in my brain now.
But I was in the dilemma. I was thinking, well, music's subjective. So what would the devil think the greatest song in the world is? And I figured out what the devil would think the greatest song in the world is, which I think is probably one of my favourite songs anyway. It's Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. Yeah.
Oh, the devil went down to Georgia.
The devil went down to Georgia as well, but specifically Sympathy for the Devil, just because I just love that. It's the drum fill, just like bap, 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 and then everything kicks in. It's like, yeah, it's cool as shit.
Have you heard Zach Brown's version of The Devil Went Down to Georgia?
No.
So there's a version. There's only a live version of it. It's on Spotify. Go and listen to it. Absolutely impeccable. The musicianship is like, it's really, really good.
I'll tell you what, I've told a lie. It wasn't Sympathy for the Devil. I know it's on
This is your question.
It's obviously I've thought about this, but I haven't thought about
What about a little bit?
Gimme Shelter. That's the one. War Children. It's just a shot away. I think you'd love that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
That is a tune. That.
So it's not Sympathy for the Devil. I don't think you'd like. Well, you'd like that one, but I think you'd prefer Gimme Shelter.
See, I think more like modern, because Bring Me the Horizon's latest, like last album, Posthuman Apocalyptic, was just phenomenal, and especially Kingslayer, because it brings like anime theme, like K-poppy anime kind of rock. To
Do you think the devil's going to be a fan though?
Yeah,
K-pop.
100%.
I think the devil probably
He
loves
just
K-pop,
wants
to
the
be fair.
best song in the
100%.
world. He doesn't want his
100%.
best song. Which, for the record, would be Gangnam Style, because it was the first one to get so many views on YouTube.
I reckon that, like the devil would be banging to like Demon Slayer and stuff like that.
I've heard he's a country fan.
That wouldn't surprise me.
He likes the
really.
fiddle player, doesn't he?
Yeah, he
So
does,
he's a bit of a folk tune.
He is.
I'm straight there with whiskey in a jar, you know?
It'd be like Fields of Athenry
Yeah.
or something.
The devil's Irish. It's controversial.
The devil's Irish.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking. My soul's probably going to be devoured, to be honest.
Yeah.
but I'll give it a go. Apparently, the song that Jack Black was referring to was the Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven, yeah.
That's apparently what he was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
As I said, James, like the song Tribute, I was like, it would be a really clever idea if what you wrote the song about was, like, when you're in the shower and you've got a song in your mind, like, yeah, I'm going to play that. Shit, can't remember it. And every musician gets that, like, I've just wrote the best song ever. Can't remember how it goes. But it would be such a good Jack Black thing to have wrote a song, a tribute to the song that he forgot that he was going to write.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the greatest song in the world, it's just a tribute. And like, it's a tribute to the song you
wouldn't
forgot,
surprise
and
us.
it's like,
he had the idea.
Yeah,
This is the greatest song in the world.
he's forgot it.
So he's
Yeah.
just
And now
doing
he's got a
tribute
song
now.
about. how he
That's
doesn't have the
actually
song.
really good.
Like, it's got to be something there.
We need to get in touch with him.
Yeah. So Jack, if you're listening,
He's obviously
watching.
listening.
What was Tribute about? What was the song about? Was it Connor's Theory, which I quite like actually? That's
Cool.
Makes sense though.
yeah,
doesn't
that does
it?
make.
We're
that makes
personally
more sense.
inviting you to episode 20 where we drink, so
Yeah.
come along. If we get Jack Black on the podcast, would you come by and
Yeah,
watch?
I'll come back. Yeah, I'll come back. I'll sit in the corner and
Because it's,
Yeah, yeah.
popcorn.
it's the line. The peculiar thing about this, my friend, the song we sang on that fateful night, it didn't actually sound anything like this song. This is just a tribute. Like,
So it would make sense.
Sounds
Yeah.
like you're doing like an audio
I wish
book.
you were there. I know.
A dramatic reading of Tribute. You just need to do that on an episode. Just
Yeah.
have James in a little armchair
Next to a
with
fire.
a little,
with a book and just talk song lyrics.
just doing a
You know how
dramatic
we're looking for like
reading.
things to post on Saturdays. We'll do that. Just you with a 5-minute
Yes.
clip of reading
Yeah.
a big,
Hello.
A
we get,
dramatic
hard-
reading of
hard
songs.
Black book or something. You're just reading. Like,
Could do like
That'd be such
Wow,
a good
don't
idea.
want to be an
Oh my
American
gosh.
idiot.
oh my gosh, look at that butt. Oh my gosh, look at that butt.
That
No,
anaconda
like,
ain't
100%.
got
This needs to happen. It needs to be you, full suit, in front of a fireplace, dramatic
with a
reading
pipe.
of these
Yeah.
songs.
Yes.
Oh, we can chuck accents at you. If anybody watched the Scott Kears episode last week, James did Marge and Peter Griffin.
Have you ever heard the who's he called, man? He was in Star Trek.
I didn't watch Star Trek.
He was Spock. Oh, no, it wasn't. Ian.
Leonard Thingy
No, not Leonard Cohen. He was
William
Dafoe.
Shatner. No,
William.
Dafoe.
Honestly, my
William
mind.
Dafoe.
I've got to say, I haven't had a day off.
Green
for
Goblin,
about-
isn't it?
I haven't had a day off for about 10 days. My mind is frazzled. I cannot think of these names. But yeah, William Shatner. Have you ever heard him do Bohemian Rhapsody?
No.
He just speaks it. It's the funniest thing
Oh.
ever. He does
Like the
Rocket Man
Muppets.
as
I've
well.
seen Stewie
Yeah.
Griffin's version of William Shatner's Rocket Man.
Yeah, Rocket Man. It's gonna be
I
a long
love
good
that.
time.
Man, I do it
Every
at gigs.
time, every single time, when I used to go watch his gigs, he sang that song. He would look at us and be like, "Rocket Man."
I'm a Rocket Man. Rocket Man.
It's just funny because you see him. He's like, I have to show you a YouTube video, but he's like smoking a cigar. And he's like, Rocket Man. It's just the funniest thing ever, and the audience are like clapping him and stuff like that. It's terrible but good. I'd recommend anyone.
Need to do a special episode of James' dramatic reading things.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
just
gonna-
it's in
You know
my
what? We're
head
going to do
now,
that
I need
episode
to
20.
say it.
We're going to do a lot on 20.
Yeah, we
I
are.
need to
It's
say
gonna
it.
be
And we'll
fun.
do the drinking. We'll do the
It's gonna be
reading
like a
songs.
4-hour episode or
It's gonna
something
be
like that.
fantastic. We could do it if you get the
Yeah.
entire day off work. We'll do the entire day of drinking
Yeah.
and just the best ofs, and then
I'll get a fancy book and
Yeah.
I'll just read like shitty lyrics out to people.
if
Oh,
anybody's got any
amazing.
song suggestions you want James to read out, send them our way, and we'll do that.
I've already got a few.
Yeah, sorted.
Oh, brilliant.
Well, we've got a couple Would You Rathers as well, and they're specifically aimed for Twister.
Right. Oh,
So, would you rather, and I know you've got a favourite guitar because you've got it tattooed on your arm.
I do.
Yeah. So, would you rather smash your favourite guitar to save the loved one, or watch a loved one perish to save your favourite guitar?
I'd definitely smash my guitar.
Oh, would you?
I smash my guitar regular anyway.
No, but to the point where it's unfixable. Your favourite guitar's gone.
100%.
Like, if I had to choose between Ashley
I'm
and
a-
the
I'm a
shearing guitar
softie,
that I
mate.
used to have,
I'm a sorry.
I could come back from the dead.
I was going to say it's a little bit harder to answer this question when you've got your girlfriend.
No, it's
literally
not.
just
I
like-
know, like,
It was Ashley's question. I went, I hope you're not expecting me to save you.
I expect nothing less from him, to be fair.
On that guitar back. Scott's got it. He says he's going to fix it. He's been back in England twice and he's given up and he's
he's
never been
that's
able
why
to.
he's going to America. He's like,
The
oh,
bridge
can't be
is
dealing
caved
with
in on it. It just doesn't work if you play anything past the second
It's
fret.
held together with duct tape. Literally held
To be
together
fair,
It's
with
such a
duct tape.
beautiful guitar.
Duct tape fixes everything.
Yeah,
It's just
gorilla
You
tape.
make a
Actually,
boat?
Gorilla tape.
apparently,
is
ducks are stronger. Gorillas are stronger than gorillas than ducks.
Well, yeah.
Gorillas are stronger than gorillas.
Hey, we are not with it today, are we? Honestly,
It's
God.
one of them.
Oh, 2 podcasts in a row.
Yeah, that's what it does to you.
And the other one we got is Would You Rather? Because obviously we're musicians, we know how sweaty we get. And I get really sweaty after gigs, and then I saw you at your Riverside gig, and I was like, we're probably on par. So would you rather, at the end of every gig, lick each band member's back or suck each band member's toes?
I thought you were going to say something different there.
Oh, James.
I was like, line up.
Yeah, the thing is, I've seen all of their feet. All of their feet are pretty horrendous. I'd lick their backs.
All the backs.
Yeah. None of them are as sweaty as me, so
It would have to be each band
Someone's
member
lined up for
does it
dessert.
as well. So like Jake and everyone would have to lick your back, and then
oh,
you
they
have
would,
to lick
they would
all
definitely rather do
theirs.
that than me feet. I know their feet are awful, but mine look like hobbits' feet. Except I've got like 2 of my toes. I've got 4 knuckles in them because they're just broken to pieces.
Gosh.
That's because just before I did my knee, right, I broke a toe on my right foot, and then during my rehab, Amy went, "We'll take you to a masseuse." All right, we'll take you for a Thai massage. Brilliant. Bent me leg over me head right, and pulled me toe. Even though I told her about both of my injuries, she pulled me broken toe. We were just sat talking about this afternoon, actually laughing.
Oh my
But,
god.
Yeah, I came out of there and I was no good. Like,
You went from a size 11 to a size 13.
honestly, it's ridiculous. That looks like a finger now.
It's quite a good story, that. And we normally have a Shag, Marry, Avoid at the end. And we've got Shag, Marry, Avoid, Steven Tyler, Axl Rose, and Travis Barker.
Right.
These are quite tame compared to normal.
Yeah, this is quite
Yeah,
the...
but
Tune in for next week.
yeah, but
Well,
each
I
of
mean,
them
you-
each of them have their vices though.
Shag,
Like,
marry,
Axl Rose
avoid.
is such a diva.
Yeah, I mean,
Fantastic musician, but such a diva.
I'd avoid Axl Rose.
I think I would actually.
I'd shag Travis Barker. I'd marry Steven Tyler.
I think that's the way I was edging to.
Tell you why. I think Steven Tyler would tell you loads of bedtime stories.
Yeah, honestly,
about
yeah.
all the mad shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once did a gig with John Corabi, who was in.
Follows Ashley
Love
on
John.
Instagram.
Yeah,
you
he
know.
follows us. I love John Corabi.
Yeah.
Did we see him in Trillium?
Yeah,
Is that him?
it's,
Aye,
'cause
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
when he
Yeah.
told us to stop dancing because I was distracting him.
yeah, I remember that.
So I did a gig with John, and obviously he was in Motley Crue, but he was in Motley Crue when they were sober, right? So John Corabi's acoustic gig was like, tell stories.
I think I know what story you're going to mention
Yeah.
because he told it when we
Yeah, I was
seen
gonna
him.
say.
I wasn't going to tell the story, but he told Steve, obviously he was talking about being in Motley Crue, but his best story was about Steven Tyler. Like, how you were in Motley Crue, the wildest fucking idiots on the planet, and your best story is about Steven
Yeah.
Tyler.
Tyler. It was something about, like, I mean, obviously he's obviously
Motley
going to tell
Crue
it.
tricked him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was another way. It was like Steven Tyler got like absolutely off his nut. Ended up taking a few girls back to his place. Then ended up writing one of the most beautiful songs he's ever
Yeah.
heard. Just like still while he was out, like drinking for like 36 hours or something, stuff like that. And he's like, I don't know who. He's such an underrated singer-songwriter. To be honest, people don't recognise Steven Tyler as being like a good songwriter.
Yeah, he's excellent.
But yeah, he can write a tune like.
I think
I'm
he's
forgetting what
fantastic.
song it is, but there's a song on Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses obviously,
Yeah.
where there's like loads of sex noises in it. I can't remember what the song is off the top of my tongue.
I know which one you're on about.
Yeah. So that's Axl Rose shagging the drummer's missus.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm sure
What
that
other-
story's in Slash's
Yeah,
like,
it is, yeah,
biography
yeah.
because that's where I remember reading it.
I hope they don't do a shag, marry, avoid question and their band meetings. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Jesus.
We'd all
What are they doing
avoid you,
about
Axl. Me missus.
He's an absolute arsehole, Axl Rose. Like, I mean, there's I don't know how true this. I heard it on the internet, so this could be a wild accusation.
Always true.
But apparently, Axl Rose was like an hour late to one of his gigs because he wanted to finish a Sunday dinner.
It's because
backstage.
he didn't have Yorkshire puddings
Oh,
or something
yes.
like that.
Aye.
He
Was
was
that-
refused to
There was
play
a
until
few
he got
times he
some.
was like
Course,
ridiculous.
I seen them at, I think it was Leeds Fest, and they were 2 hours late. I ended up going back to me tent because it was like torrential rain, and they were 2 hours late. And I'm sure they played "Welcome to the Jungle" like 3 times.
Yeah,
Because I could hear it from me tent. I was like, this song's been playing for ages, and they must have played it like 2 or 3 times the same song.
Wow.
he looks like Benny Hill now as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's just like, so yeah, I'd always avoid Axl Rose.
See, I reckon he'd be filth in bed though. I reckon that I'd shag Axl, I'd marry Steven Tyler, and regrettably would avoid Travis Barker. But
He is-
that's
he is
just
a bit
because of
cr-
the way that he
yeah.
is now.
I was gonna say he's a bit
Old
cringy
school
now, isn't he?
Travis
Yeah.
Barker is just.
He drums a lot,
specimen,
doesn't he?
but,
He's not
like,
just. It's
His
not just
skin
winging it
fell
too,
off,
is he?
didn't it?
No, he does loads of like
actually,
collabs
he's-
and stuff.
Because
like
he was in a
that.
plane crash, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And all his tattoos were burned off.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, waste
Yeah,
of
he's-
money.
Oh,
Like, I'd be absolutely livid if like I had to amputate a leg.
Well, the
I'd be
plane
like,
ticket.
he's a phenomenal drummer though. Like
Yeah, he's
I
excellent player.
seen
He's
Blink years ago, and I think that was at Leeds Fest as well. Actually, I might have been Download, and he had a raised platform, like it raised up and started spinning upside down and everything whilst he was doing like a 10-minute drum solo. It was amazing.
Oh, he's a good drummer, like.
So I
No,
think
he's
I'd
exceptionally-
marry Steven, shag Axl. I think Travis is too busy for me to just disappoint him for 10 minutes. So like, you're not allowed to laugh at that.
Far too correct. That,
I'm
isn't it?
laughing at the 10 minutes more than anything.
That's a double burn.
See you in part 3.
The chance would be a fine thing.
My God. Stop
need-
hitting
you need
Mads
to
with
behave yourself,
podcasting,
you.
I tell you what.
Move your drink.
Can't. I'm not used to the new table.
Put it like here.
it's all
So
right.
the only technology that gets ruined is your own.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Josiah, I think that was all I had on part 3.
Oh, well, on that note,
We'll see you on the other side.
we'll see you in 10 minutes.
How long do you think your ad breaks on? Kenny Craig over here.
Look at the eyes.
3, 2, 1. Back in the room. Side 3.
Side 3.
Yeah. What's your funniest tour stories?
There's lots of random stuff happens on tours.
Cool. And what's the...
Lots of mad stuff.
You're right, James.
Don't know how that tickled us. That.
See, that's what I think the yes or no things are going to come in handy. 'Cause it's just a straight, right, cool, next.
I just wasn't prepared for it. That's all. I was about to be looking at insightfulness, like the story. Okay, that's anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of ones we can tell.
Which one sticks out the most?
Which one sticks out?
Which one doesn't get you arrested?
Yes.
So recently I don't know the same, but 2 of the shows that we're doing on the tour are with a guy called Dan Reed, who's the frontman in the Dan Reed Network. Now Dan's amazing, absolutely tremendous person, player, and we played his Patreon bash back in February in Newcastle. And one of our friends, Billy, he's a massive Dan Reed fan, and he'd been like, there's been sort of like little bits of comments and stuff on Facebook posts leading up to the show. Like Billy was like, "Oh, Dan, I'm a massive fan. Like, I hope you're playing this, hope you're playing that, whatever." Anyway, Dan was like, "Who's this lunatic?" Like, I was like, "Oh, he's all right, Billy. He's a great lad." Anyway, the 2 of the songs he wanted to play, one was Rainbow Child, and one was Stronger Than Steel. And he didn't play Stronger Than Steel at the show. So we ended up at this after party, and we just sat like, there's probably 20 or 30 of us in this room, and Dan started talking to Dan, and I was like, "Oh, look, by the way, my mate Billy, obviously he was commenting on the stuff, he's a massive fan, but he said his favourite song was Stronger Than Steel." He went, "Is he in here?" Yeah. That's him there. Leave it with me. So this was 20, 30 people in the room, and he just starts singing this song, but walking towards Billy. So Billy's like, like, turns around like, what's going on? And just walking towards him singing it. And then Billy starts singing it back at him. Right? So now they're stood together in the middle of the room, holding each other, screaming this song at each other. And I'm just stood back going, this is absolutely incredible. I can't believe this is happening. And, Billy came up and I was like, it's blown us away, that. I was like, yeah, it's cool. So it's always about giving people something that they'll always remember, something like the never forgetting feeling.
That's it. Like, small moments are always better than like tangible. Look, here's a guitar. You'd rather have something like, I remember this. Yeah,
totally. It's people. Obviously, time's the most expensive thing, and like if you don't have time, you can't get time, and if you don't have time, you can't give time. But if you're at a show, the thing that means more to anybody else is that 5 minutes chat you'll have with that person, or like just showing a genuine interest in people. And a lot of people don't find that natural. I do. Like I talk a glass eye to sleep, so I love sitting and talking to people I don't know and finding out about where they're from and how they heard about us or whatever. And it's massively interesting, and the amount of people that come back to us because of that aspect.
It's more it's like a personal touch, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, and it does mean a lot. And a lot, I think, nowadays that gets lost on a few people.
It's that small thing that makes someone who's listened to your music and likes your music just someone who goes, yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
From just I like your music to a fan.
It does.
It's that little extra. It's that little extra effort.
Yeah, it's just showing that you give a shit, basically.
Yeah. I had that recently, like at Rise Fest. There was some bands that just weren't bothered, and there was some bands that literally came out and like partied with everybody for like even just 5-10 minutes, and they're the ones that you stick out and you're like, that was amazing, you've put on a good show, and then you're interacting with your fans and stuff. And obviously I've seen you do it at all, like the gigs that I've seen you guys do, and it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
It really, because it makes it more memorable, because it's like, if you're just finished, walk off stage, and that's it, it's done.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that was a good song. But then if you come out and interact with the crowd, it's like, oh, that's Stevie, guys. He's so canny, like this. And, like, it goes on and on. Like,
it goes from
like,
that was such a good show to that was such a good band.
It becomes really personal. It's really good.
So what we started doing now is, once we finish the show, Ryan takes all my gear down, which is class. Cheers, Ryan. So basically, I come off stage, I either put my guitar in the stand or I just give it to Ryan, and I go over the barrier.
Yeah.
Just so wherever we
straight talking who's
jump
there.
over the barrier and then go straight to merchandise and get people to come and talk to us there. That's handy because obviously we've got flyers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People can just take, or if people want to buy t-shirts or CDs, we can sign them.
Yeah.
Like them, again, little personal touches make a massive difference.
Even the way that I've seen you take photos as well, like whilst you're on stage, you'll stop the show.
I've seen that.
And like take photos with the crowd in the background and like wait for everybody and stuff, and it's amazing. Like, it's the interaction is what makes the gig more than just playing the songs that everyone loves. If you're interacting with them, it builds it so much more.
Yeah, it really does. It makes a massive difference.
Just noticed you went back to Fruity.
I did, it's, I can't help myself. I just actually get shares in whoever makes Fruity.
So on a contrast question, what's the most embarrassing band story you guys have got?
Actually, I was talking
Throw
about,
someone under the bus. Go on.
I was talking about this last week, actually. So what we've recently done is I don't know if people have seen this before, people know what the backstory of the band is, but we started off as a cover band. We started just playing, and I always think, and I would always tell anybody to, if you were wanting to be in a band, is start playing in covers, start playing anything, just to learn your craft and understand how
each other as well.
Understand how song.
Militant with that kind of advice.
Yeah, totally. It's got to be like, you've got to know how a song's formed, you've got to know how to perform, and that's the best way to do it on the circuit. You're up against all these other bands sometimes playing the same songs. You've got to do something which is going to push the envelope a little bit. And we've put a cover band together now because Twister's doing like some really big stuff and some really interesting stuff, but we can't gig as often as we used to because the shows are bigger.
Yeah.
So we've put a cover band together basically just to keep ourselves tight, and it helps us pay for the studio and invest in merchandise and videos and recording and all that. So we put this cover band together, and one of the venues we played recently, I haven't played since I was 14.
Which one's that?
The George Stevenson in Killingworth,
Oh, yeah.
or Westmoor, I think it is.
I know, I do a couple of radio interviews with Meg Ryan. It's not my first choice radio.
Yeah.
Go there, have a pint and just chat.
Just like we're doing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Wonder where you got that idea from.
Yeah, so I went there, and we played there either Sunday or the Sunday before, and I was telling the lads, the last time, I've only played here once, and the last time I played here, I had, you know them Hercules guitar stands? Right, so I put my Les Paul in the stand. This all happened like within 30 seconds, by the way. Guitar in the stand fell over, I snapped the neck off my guitar.
Oh my god.
I then went, oh, fuck it, turned round, grabbed my microphone, jumped on the monitor went, and I fell flat on my back, right? Like, all within, like, a split second, and, yeah, I was just lying in a heap going, for Christ's sake.
Oh my god.
How old were you then?
14, 15.
Oh, wow.
Are you the only original member of Twister still?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are, aren't you? Because you started like way back
I started
then.
when I was 13.
Yeah. I
Who
think
was
it's mad.
the
that-
first of the current members?
Yeah,
to be in
so
Twister?
Jake's
Yeah.
been with...
What was the
with us
timeline with Twister then?
7.5 years now, Jake's been with us. We had...
Because Jack's quite new, isn't he?
Jake's been with us 4 years nearly. Yeah.
I say new. He was new when I think I
it's
first
like
met
it's
you.
Yeah.
technically 2
I was
years,
gonna
isn't it?
say,
Because
like, it's been, like-
you cancel off the past 2 years.
Actually,
really.
do you know what? We were so busy during lockdown.
Oh, really?
Like,
Oh,
so
I
busy.
saw that.
Busier than ever. But that's for another story. That's when the police aren't listening. Yeah, we did a lot of stuff to keep ourselves occupied. I'd say that.
Lots of nice distanced walks and everything.
Lots of that.
We played
yeah.
basketball
Yeah.
once, didn't we?
We did play
Distance.
Distance
Exactly.
basketball.
Distance
We
basketball.
played pass. We played pass.
We did. We passy football from a distance.
Then you had to sanitize the
Yeah.
ball after
Every
each.
We
time
never,
touched
After each
never
pass.
did birthday parties, did we?
Never.
Never.
Did birthday parties.
So we never did it.
People are still getting fines from
Exactly.
it. You
We
incriminate
never
yourself
did
here.
it.
backdated.
Yeah, so Jake's been with us, it'll be 8 years in March. And prior to that, we'd had a lineup for probably 3 or 4 years, which had been quite
Yeah.
steady.
Do you stay in touch with anyone else who was in Twister?
Yeah, I speak to quite a lot of the lads. My best mate, Niall, was like, we were playing together when I was 17. And he's coming to Greece with us next week to do some shows. So he's probably going to play some guitar for us as well, just to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
Haven't played together for 13 years, but you know,
Like,
I'm sure it'll be fine.
First time I met you, I think you were in 2 bands. Because I remember you started to go, I'm officially leaving this, we're going to Twister, and Twister became your full-time thing.
Yeah,
Do you remember what the other band was?
yeah, Diva.
Was that covers or was that also an
That was
original?
all original stuff.
Yeah.
So we
Is there anything you miss about that band that you don't do in this one?
So
That feels
it was
like
weird.
comparing exes, but-
Well, to be honest, I was in Twister when I joined Diva, so I'd always been full time with Twister. However, I got offered the job in Diva, and we were in a really strange place with the band because we felt like as a live act, we were at the top of our game, but we weren't getting opportunities. We weren't seeing sort of the results that we hoped we were going to. And I got offered this opportunity, and Billy, the guy who's the frontman of that band, is a really great guy, really good friend of mine, and he offered us the job, and I was like, yeah, I think this could be an opportunity for me to step my own profile up, and I love playing in bands. Like, it doesn't really matter what's happening or who I'm playing with. It's just about the performance aspect, and they didn't seem to have an extensive diary. So I thought I could run both bands together fine. And I spoke to Twister lads about it. I said I do think that in time and everything being right, I think this will help us as well as me. And do you know what, I did that heaps. Did it heaps.
Yeah.
Billy had a lot of connections. He was in a band called Inglorious, who were massive, and just his connection with that opened a lot of doors for Diva straight off the bat. We got a few festival opportunities. The only trouble with that band, And the only thing that I always said is they were just scared to gig. And like really shy. And the thing is, you can rehearse as much as you like.
Yeah, it
a
all
live
goes out the
performance, isn't it?
It
window
all
when
totally falls to
it does,
pieces at a gig unless you're gigging regular
Yeah.
and you know what's what. And we had this show in Scotland. It was on the Isle of Lewis, and Twister have been back since and played a show up there because do you know what, the people up there are absolutely amazing. They've looked after us every time we've been. We're good mates with a band up there called the Broken Ravens, so you need to check them out. They're a really great bunch of lads as well, and great band. And we went up there to do this show with Diva. First time I'd been, and we'd rehearsed for weeks, and we always say in the game, get the end right, get the beginning right. What you do in the middle doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You can
First impressions, last
you
impression,
can get
innit?
away with it. Just make sure you can start the song right, make sure you can end the song right, you're fine. And we'd rehearsed all these intros and outros of songs in the game. We'd been doing it for weeks consistently. We did the rehearsal the day before we went. It was great. Got there at the gig. Every ending and everything was totally different.
Wow. Yeah.
Like not just a little bit different.
Totally.
Like almost like it swapped endings from one song to other song. And I was like, and we came off afterwards, and I sat down and I was like, look, what are we doing, man? We're going to do it properly. Like it's got to be right. We need to gig more. That's the top and bottom of it. And unfortunately, we didn't agree on that. They didn't want to.
weird,
Yeah, they just didn't want to gig as often as you need to be a top band. And yeah, unfortunately, we did a tour together, and things had been a little bit strained because of our difference of opinion. And listen, I think the world of all the lads totally do. But we had just a slight difference of opinion. And once I came back from the tour, we met up and decided together that they thought was best as well that I left.
Yeah.
And they got another guitarist in, Tommy Appleton, and great guy, great player. And Tommy's in another band now because Diva looks like they folded, which is a shame. But it was fun to be a part of. But just it's a totally different way of thinking as well. I was just a guitar player and that, which is nice in some respects because I just get to concentrate on what my hands are doing.
I was gonna say, it gives you a different perspective being in.
Totally does.
Yeah.
So
Is there anything different that you did to Twister? Like, is there anything that you think,
You brought
even like a
over.
learning curve or something, where you're like, oh, that was slightly different or something like you did with Diva that you now do with Twister because you think that works better, or
Not really.
nah, you just kind of went your own way with Twister and went, this works.
It's not so much that. It's bands have their own identities, and you don't really go. I mean, there is things you go, oh, maybe we should try this or whatever, but usually that comes from organicness, and you think, and we want to try this because we think it'll do this, or because we think it'll do this for us, or
Trial and error.
yeah, and yeah, I think for us, especially in Twister, our main goal is we want to be the best version of ourselves, being
I
ourselves.
went in my head as well. I've been playing Pokemon all week, and when James started, we want to be. Mary, that wasn't my.
sorry, I couldn't
Class.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Has
It's
Twister
alright.
like evolved much? Because you've been in what, like 20 years nearly,
18, yeah.
18 years. So from obviously where you started in Twister, I know it was obviously like a different band back then. And stuff.
Yeah,
Has there been much of an evolution, or do you feel like you've kind of kept
hugely.
like
No, it's a totally different animal now.
yeah?
But one thing I really love about what we've done is there's nothing we haven't tried. We've done
Like fearless with it all, sort of thing.
yeah, and it's
For regular viewers, that was the regular siren we get every week.
Yeah.
you
It's not me taxi home.
There's just there's so many people that are like so quick to throw the towel in, or like, oh, that didn't work, so I'm not doing it anymore. And this is like, and we've not been like that. We've done it wrong a million times, and we'll do it wrong a million more.
Yeah.
It's gotta
But
be persistent, isn't it?
yeah, it's right. But it's always striving for it to be that bit better now, and that bit better, and how's it going to be better, and it's having that team spirit, and all of us have that, and we all work as hard for each other as we do for ourselves, and that's that if you want to be in a band and you want to be a successful band, every single one of you have got to be on the same page, pulling in the same direction.
That's why I always say it's so hard to be in a band these days, because you always get the
4 people that are the exact same.
and you always have the drummer.
No, you
who's
don't, by the way. No, absolutely not, because 4 of me would be a nightmare. Like,
No, but like the same kind of like mental drive of like, we know what we want, and
the thing is, what you need
The
is
same passion.
Yeah.
you need people to
like that
know
without the band.
what you're trying to achieve. You need to know what your goals are. But if everyone was the same and everyone had really strong opinions, it wouldn't work. It would fall to pieces. Yeah,
Like the Beatles.
And what you need is you need a couple of people to lead the line. You need a couple of people to give that perspective. So if you've got usually me and Jake, and you know, at times me and Jake fight like cat and dog, but it's all for the right reasons. It's all for. It's not because we think totally the opposite. We know that that's where we want to be. I've just got a road that way. He's got a road that way, and that's all it is. It's just different ideas of how we get to the same place. And what Jack and Ryan will then add into the mix is that as well. Oh, do you know what? Maybe he's what Jake thinks there. It's like, do you know what? Yeah, I didn't see it like that. I totally
They'll
agree.
have like the outsider opinion and the different
But then Ryan will go,
perspectives.
but your bit there is like, okay, well in that case we'll do that bit and then we'll do that bit. And then it's all of them ideas and it's all of them opinions that then create what we actually are. But it's took me, again, like this, I've been together 4 years, it's took me 14 years to find a band lineup where everyone wants the same thing. Everyone's willing to work as hard as each other to get the same goal.
That's the difficulty in being in a band. Because I mean, a lot of bands will have a drummer who's in like 5 or 6 other bands, and they're just there just to play. Yeah, that's it. And it's so hard to get that unity, I guess. And it doesn't, as I say, it doesn't really matter if you have differences of opinion here and there.
No.
But if you're just making it the Stevie show, then that's never going to work either. Because the drummer's going to be like, well, I don't have any input in this. What the hell's the point?
That's it.
You know,
And loads of people have said, because I do acoustic gigs as well, loads of people have gone, why don't you just do it on your own? Just don't want to. Like I love being in a band, and I love being part of a team, and it's never about me, it's never about him, it's about us. And it's not just us, it's the people that we have around us, it's the fans, it's the whole like community. And when we win, we all win, and that's how we always portray it, and we always try and push that across to people. This is not just for us, it's
for everyone involved.
It sounds like a proper band.
Right, that's the idea, and we've got a new song coming out in October called Favourite Underdog, and that's exactly that. It's that us against the world kind of vibe, and how many times we've had to fight like hell to get into like, I don't know, like a festival or a group or a base of people, and then once we're in it, it's like, oh, these are really good. And then you start to take over it. Well, not take over, it's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. You start to infect it with all of what you are and that kind of feeling, and then you move on to the next one, and then you try and take everybody with you. And like some of my pals, I'm mates with the guys in Massive Wagons, and if you look what they're doing at the moment, it's absolutely stratospheric. And like, they've done it organically, they've done it the right way, they've built the fan base over the years. And check them out, they're absolutely incredible. And above all, nice people, worship the ground the fans walk on, and they've got time for everybody. And unfortunately, it's always about being a nice person first.
I think that's something that definitely stands out with you guys, because you do have like very loyal fans as well. Like, you've got fans that will follow you all over the country, even ones that will fly to like Greece and stuff when you are playing out there. And it's because you aren't selfish. Like, you interact with your fans on personal levels all of the time, and it makes such a big difference. Like we were saying before, like, it's such a massive difference. I know other local bands and stuff who don't have half the interaction, and then you get people who'll be like, oh, if they're playing local, I'll go and see them. yous have got people that'll literally follow you. You've got such loyal fans and like friends as well.
No,
Like
totally.
they're genuinely friends.
And people that have followed us for a long time. Like we've met some people recently, and when and it was really weird. We bumped into them. It was in a pizza shop after a gig. We hadn't seen them at the gig, and we'd done the whole mixing with people, and we got talking to them in this pizza shop, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we've been to see you there, we've been to see you there, we've been to see you here. Oh, and I've got that, and I bought this copy of an EP we released like donkeys years ago, which I don't even have a copy of."
Yeah.
And like, I was like, that's totally amazing. Like that people have, and this is the first time that I'd met them. Like, how's that the first time I met you if you've been seeing us all these places for years? But
There's always new people in the crowd, aren't there?
Yeah.
Totally. And do you know what it means? Absolute world was that people give a shit.
Yeah.
I think
It's
you've
nice.
done so well. Like, I think I've known you about 3 years now. And from seeing you like a couple of years ago at the O2 and seeing you at Riverside and seeing like how much you have grown, and like it is phenomenal. Like the kind of scale you are on now compared to what you were just 3 years ago. So it just shows how much you build and how much like passion you have and how much you work.
And we appreciate that. And but it's just about being 2% better here and 2% better here, and like and just starting to build everything a little bit.
Eventually, you get 50% better when you keep doing it like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Exactly.
And you don't notice that you're getting better, but as Ashley says, like the 3 years difference is just like
the collective, isn't it?
Like,
So,
I remember the first time I seen you at the O2, and when me and Connor went to see you at Riverside, and the difference, even just in you guys and your confidence and like your performance levels and everything, you can see how much more into everything you get all of the time.
Well, the trouble, so that show that you saw us at the O2, Jack had only been in the band 6 months.
Yeah.
So when we'd done that, it was really weird. Jack had a bit of a torrid time when he joined the band at first, because he played in a lot of bands, and he's an excellent drummer.
Yeah.
But Jack's trouble at first was consistency.
Yeah.
He would have a great gig, then a shit one, then a great one, then a shit
Yeah.
one. And what we ended up trying to do was like, right, let's just build that up. Let's build that consistency. But he hadn't been in a band that had gigged as extensively as we did, and had to have them energy levels for extensively as we have to. And now, I don't think there's anybody better than him.
Top man,
Well,
isn't he?
I left that gig. Like, I got used to sign me ticket and everything. I left that gig and I was saying to Connor, we met Connor after, and like I was saying to James and Scott and stuff, and I was just like, that was phenomenal. Like, you very quickly became one of my favourite local bands. Like, obviously I'd met you on a personal level beforehand and stuff, but watching you perform, I was like, that's amazing. I had no idea the scale that you were. When Scott was like, do you want to come and see Twister? And I was like, well, it's my kind of music. Yeah, I'll go watch them and obviously see Stevie and support and stuff. And watching you, I was absolutely floored. And then when we seen you at Riverside, I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a different ball game now. Isn't it?
It's just the passion you have is unbelievable, and you can see it on the stage. And
Some of
yous
the,
put
some of the
everything
weird
into it.
things, like now, like for me, the first time it ever happened was it's going to show my age. So we did a show at Peterlee College in December 2005, right?
Just started high school.
Yeah, that was the first time. Yeah, I was
Not even saying
13,
how old
14.
And I was turning 11.
Yeah, we did this show, and we had like 2 original tracks, and we ended up playing this song, and there was like a row of like 5 or 6 people like in the front row who knew every word. I was like almost like totally flabbergasted. Like I'm 13, I don't like. How do you know the words to this? I don't even know the words to this. And like people had, remember they used to Bluetooth songs to each other and stuff. Like people had our songs on their Sony Walkmans and that, and like that's incredible. And then recently we did a show. Where the hell was it? Oh, it was Ibiza. So we did a show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Just a buzzer.
I was amazed not playing
Obviously.
Club Eden for the 4,000 people. It's just like bonkers. So we done the show in Ibiza, and our last track of the night was 64 White Lies. And there's a line just before the last chorus, which basically everyone drops out and I'll whisper it. And I couldn't hear anything I was doing over the wedges, over the PA, because the crowd was singing that line back at me,
That's clever.
and I was
Fantastic.
like, just
Yeah.
blown away by it, and like that never ever gets old, by the way,
Yeah,
ever.
imagine.
So just before we close the pod off, you started this when you were 13, so
Yeah.
you're 18 years in Twister.
Yeah.
Are you currently where you thought you'd be, further behind where you thought you'd be, or more ahead than you thought you'd be when you were starting Twister?
I think your perspective changes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
where do you reckon?
I think
you're at?
I don't think we're where we would hope we would have been at this point.
But do you feel prouder of where you're at?
Yeah,
it's like-
because it's
You realise how much harder it is to
Yeah.
get to the
yeah,
point,
everyone's
I think,
got
innit?
different perspective on things. People think, I'll join a band, it'll be mint.
Yeah.
No, I'll join a band and I'll never see my mates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
sacrifice.
it's okay, yeah.
I'll never be able to have a weekend night out with my girlfriend.
I'm on that side of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
So.
Or I'll never have enough money to pay for the new engine that my car needs, or like all of these massive obstacles and hurdles that they put in your way.
Don't think
if
about
you,
first.
You don't think about, and like we've blown vans up, like we've been thrown out of places, and like the amount of times we've been in, like being sat there, all of us with our head in our hands, going, how do we get out of this mess? And then we just have.
Yeah.
We've just fixed it somehow. Somebody's come up with a miraculous idea or plan, and everyone's put the lottery on and hope for the best. And it does. There's one phrase which really sums it up. It's not the destination; it's the journey. And as long as we're a bit better than we were yesterday, as long as we try again tomorrow to get that little bit better.
It's progression.
Yeah, and it's about seeing that progression, about understanding what you need to do to get there. And it doesn't matter what you do, whether you work in a car dealership or whether you work in a chip shop. Like, there's always going to be like, I want to be promoted. I want to get to that. Well, us as a band, it's like we want to play with that band, or actually we think we should be further up the bill on that festival, or how do we? Well, we opened this festival this year, then next year we want to be up there because saw the response, and it's all about them little hurdles and overcoming them, and yeah, it's step by step, but we're in a position now where we've got all of the foundations are there, so we have our own recording studio, we can film pretty much anything we want, with the cameras and stuff. We've got the videos are done by a very good friend of ours. We've got a new video coming out tomorrow morning, and we've now got a group of people that we can rely on, and now we're taking them on that journey with us. The next step looks great. 2023 looks ridiculous, and we're nowhere near it yet.
Yeah.
We've still got loads of things we want to achieve this year. We're playing Planet Rockstock in December, which is huge for us, like absolutely massive. Planet Rock have never played any of our stuff. Hard Rock Hell play us every single day of the week,
Yeah.
and they've been massive supporters of us. But Planet Rock haven't got it, or don't understand what we're trying to achieve with it yet. Mm-hmm. It's all about the yet.
Yeah.
It's about, okay, I get that you don't get it, but you will.
Yeah.
Because every other one that we've got into the circle with, oh yeah, they're all right. Oh yeah, they're all right. Well, these are mint, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's that build up of you need to see what we're about. A lot of these people haven't seen us perform live, and that's, you've got to try and experience that really, because again, we're gig hardened. Like all these other bands who've come out of nowhere, done 10 gigs, and miraculously it's happened for them. They're amazing. But I've done 1,000 gigs, and we're better for it. So
I think that's a massive part of it as well. You transfer from like track to stage.
yeah,
Like there's a lot of bands you can see where they're so different on stage to what they're like track wise. You guys like take your track when you're performing it live and boost it, and you don't get that very often. Like
it's usually the other way, isn't it?
yeah, it's usually massively the other way around. But you guys, like, you take your track and you're like, right, we're going to perform this track and make it even better than the actual track, and the tracks are already like fantastic, and then you just perform it to such a level, like you are an experience to watch as well as listen to, which is really like
Yeah, it's so yeah, but
important.
I mean, the beauty obviously that's exactly what we set out to do, but there's so many other great bands doing exactly that. So it's not just like, oh, we're the unlucky ones or whatever, because that's not the case. Like, we're so lucky that we're where we are, but there's other great bands out there, and there's other great people doing great things in their own way. And what we're doing right now is creating our way. This is how we want to do it. Yeah. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. This is just the way we do it. This is just the way we want to do it.
That's cool. Mint. And other than just live gigs, how do people find you social medias? What's your tags? What are you doing?
Everything's so Facebook, it's facebook.com/TwisterUK. Instagram's @officialtwister.
You're the only person we've had on that said facebook.com. If you've got the app Facebook, it's just Twister Official. Showing your age there.
No.
www.bebo.co.uk.
MySpace.
So many viewers we're going to have that don't know what MySpace is.
Yeah, I know.
You can find us on everything.
Just Twister.
Go and search in the iTunes store and have a little look and see what we've got going on, because there's loads and loads of tracks out there, especially our new one, Secrets.
Absolutely. So me and James have got a playlist competition this month, and at the end of the month we're going to get everybody's views on who had the best, and we've went local and signed. We've got like 14, 15. I think we both have a Twister track in.
Yeah, I've got Mystery. So that's a bit different. You know,
very
it's
Don't
soft,
Play Nice is in mine.
I really like that one.
I think we both end on a Twister track as well.
Yeah, well, I thought Mystery was a good ending one, because it was like it just calmed it down.
You were
a little
torn
bit.
between that and Monroe, weren't you?
I really
He
love Monroe,
loves
you know.
Monroe.
Yeah.
It's one of my
Monroe's like
favourites.
his favourite.
It's a bouncer, you're like Favourite Underdog, one of the new ones.
Yeah.
It's a bop.
Yeah.
It's a proper little bop.
So follow us. Obviously, if you just listen to us, we're Off the Stage UK on everything. Off the Stage 2 on Twitter, because we still haven't got that domain sorted. Yep. Let us know which musicians you want us to get in on the pod, and we'll ask them. They'll not accept them all, but we'll still ask them. We'll try and get Jack Black and ask him about tribute.
Yeah. Well.
So
I'll message John Corabi and try and
get him in.
Get him on.
So this episode will come out on Tuesday. So for you guys, it's today or whenever the delay came from. Your single will have been out, so it's this Friday.
Yep.
What's the single called?
The single is called Secrets. The tagline is, "Can you keep a secret?"
Can you?
Can you?
Can you?
So go and check it out.
Go stream it. Go download it. Go tell your mates. Tell your dogs. Tell
Music
your aunties.
videos out. It's all out. It's all just
Get it all gone.
in the ether. Go and have a listen.
And then tag Twister in your Instagram story saying this is amazing, and I'm sure they'll reshare that as well.
Absolutely.
And we're going to do something slightly different to end the podcast, because we've Stevie's pre-recorded an acoustic track for us, so we're going to play that for you.
Is it acoustic? Is it Twister? Or is it just yourself?
It's me and Jake.
Just you and Jake.
Cool.
Which song is it?
Call to Arms.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard Cult Arms, again, that was on Twister. It was on the debut album, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's still available for you guys to go check out. That's if you enjoy this song. If you don't enjoy the song, go check out Secrets. If you still don't enjoy Secrets,
Go watch
Oh,
Don't Play
why?
Nice.
go
You're
try a different one.
infected.
If you don't like that, try it again. And if you don't like that, just keep playing them on
There's
mute
definitely
and get the
gonna be
streams up.
something.
Exactly.
Mint, it's been mint to have you in.
Yeah, thanks very much for having
We'll
us.
definitely
Absolute
get you
pleasure.
back. We're hoping to get some kind of like live festival thing here next year at some point, and we'll see if we can get Twister involved, and we'll do some.
Absolutely, we'll come do something.
Mint. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks, Ashley, for
Thanks for having
tuning
me.
in.
Yeah.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be back next week with top of my head. What were they called? We did them yesterday.
What about Eddie?
What about Eddie? Yes, that was a
Honestly,
great
don't
episode.
ask me things today. Honestly, I'm not with
James
it
is
today.
just on
It
a
was
different planet.
basically we recorded that yesterday, and there's a couple of career enders in there. To be honest with
Yeah,
you,
I know. Oh my god.
if you thought my Margaret Thatcher comment last week was bad, wait till you see next week's
please,
children's.
please don't watch next. No, watch next episode.
No,
It's
it's
great.
like when he came home and told us. I was just like,
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, we need a limit on what I can produce on this
Yeah,
episode.
I know. Never mind. Right. Well,
See you next week.
See you next week. Thank you very much.
As a music podcast, that was a really good episode.
All these hidden feelings you provoke, rewind the seasons, make you choke, going down trying to keep this raft afloat. Make it back to never take it right, cast the first stone with blatant lies, fight fire trying to keep yourself alive. So take my hands and hold it close, don't days of doubt prohibits your hindsight. Profound emotions and tired eyes. There must be something you can prescribe. Most of the broken friendships we have known, built from an empire of self-control. We can defenseless behind these walls. So take my hands and hold it close, don't ever let it go. The call to arms has begun. The seize the day and overcome. We love your reckless, it's what we're calling for. Days of drinking, fueled by lust, passed out on the